Hey everybody, we've been talking about scatter plots and lines of best fit and all kinds of data and statistics, and you guys have been doing really great with it. Well, today what we want to talk about is something called two-way data tables. Now, all of our data isn't always given to us in numbers. Sometimes we have to make them into numbers. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about that today, and we're going to look at it in terms of sports in a particular class and everyone's favorite. Alright, so we're starting with in section 15.2, problem 1, and it's about school sports. So Ms. Carter is an athletic coordinator at Liberty Middle School. She is developing an after-school program, and Ms. Carter has a budget to follow and needs to determine which sports she will include in her program. She surveys students in her 8th grade class in order to determine which sports are preferred by students. So she's starting up some sports, and everyone is giving her their favorite sport. So in this chart, you'll see, all right, we got the names of the kids, we have what gender they are, so if they're male or female, and we have their favorite sport: soccer, basketball, baseball, volleyball, and we're trying to figure out, well, what is the favorite? So how do you think you would go about figuring these things out if you were trying to collect data? Alright, well, let's see if your method matches what we want to do with these two-way data tables. So if we're looking at the two-way data table, let's identify the variables in the table. So our variables have to do with gender and sports. But how many of each of these things do we have? We have more than one gender. Okay, so let's go back. So we have gender, which is male or female, right? And then we have our sports, which include basketball, volleyball, baseball, and soccer. So we have a total of 6 things going on in these tables. So if we describe the data values, in other words, are the data for each variable in numerical values? So this data, how are we collecting it? I would say this data is represented by words. That's how I'd put it. You may have said it differently, but for the most part, it's not in numbers. So we've got to figure this thing out. We've got to make it to where we can use numbers to describe. So like I said before, if we're learning how to describe this data that's not numerical or not made up of numbers, we're going to use this two-way data table, okay? And in the two-way data table, it shows us the number of data points that fall into each of the variables. So it'll show us the number of females, the number of males, and the number that like soccer, the number that like baseball, for basketball and volleyball for each gender, or total, all the kids that like those. And this is categorical data. All right, categorical. So they're falling into categories, right? We also call that qualitative data. So, hope you're keeping up. Okay, so if you look at number 2 in your 15.2 packet, what I've already done is I've gone ahead and I've said which genders we're looking at, male and female, and I've listed all of the sports that were in the tables that were given to us, okay? And we want to know the favorite sport for each student, and we're going to use tally marks to determine that. So I want you to look at the list, and I want you to record a tally mark for the females who like soccer, the males that like soccer, the males who like basketball, the females who like basketball. Go on and do that, and let's see what you get. All right, so now that you've recorded how many males, how many females, how many like soccer, basketball, baseball, volleyball. These should be your results. You should have that 5 males like soccer and 5 females like soccer, the best. And then you should have that 4 of both male and females like basketball, the best. 3 like baseball, the best for male, and 1 female likes baseball the best, and then 2 males like volleyball the best, and 6 females like volleyball the best. Now what we've just done is we've counted up our tally marks, and what we've determined is the frequency. And what the frequency means, if you look right there under your chart, under number 2, frequency is the number of times a variable appears. So we're looking at gender, how many times it appeared. We're looking at how many times volleyball, soccer, basketball, and baseball appeared. So then what we're going to do is we're going to put them in our two-way table. So we haven't done that yet. That's what's coming up next in number 3. So what I want you to do is I want you to transfer that data. And notice there are total columns. I want you to add those numbers up that you got. And let's see what our totals are. Okay? So we're going to pause it for just a second, and you guys are going to add those things up. So if you totaled up the number of males, you would know that the survey represented 14 males in Miss Carter's 8th grade class. And then for females, 1 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 would give you 16 females. So we just added across those columns to find the total of males and total females. So now if we're looking at the total for baseball, number of kids who liked baseball, that would be 4 because 3 plus 1 is 4. For basketball, it would be 8. Very good, because 4 plus 4 is 8. Soccer, there were 10 kids. And volleyball, there are 8 kids. So now, think about this. The total number on this bottom row right here, this total number, okay, and this total number should technically add up to be the same thing. So if we're looking at this, 14 plus 16 gives me 30, right? Okay, so 8 plus 8 is 16 plus 10 is 26. So if I add all of these up right here, it gives me 30 as well. So this total down here is going to represent the total for the rows and the total for the columns, and they should be equivalent. If not, we've messed something up. All right, so we're adding those numbers together, and they should be equal. All right, so now, what does all of this mean? What can we do with it? Well, we can answer some questions. So we've already added the totals, and when we did that, what does that tell you? Who preferred what? What was the favorite? I would say the favorite sport is soccer. So soccer is the favorite sport. And I would think baseball is the least favorite. So which sport is the least favorite of the students? So if we look at this for the students, total, all the students together, let's look at the totals. Who has the smallest total? You're right, it's baseball. So the answer for letter A would be baseball has the fewest number of students that like it. But now let's narrow that down. Which one of these sports is the least favorite for the male students? So should we even be looking at all at the female row? No, we shouldn't. So let's look. Let's see. For male, baseball has 3. Basketball has 4 for males. Soccer has 5. And volleyball has 2. So which one of these do the males not like for the most part? I would say volleyball. Volleyball wins. So the number of male students, their least favorite sport would definitely be volleyball. What about for the female students? What do the female students not like? So we're looking at the row right here with all the female students in it. So their least favorite sport is baseball. Yep, I'd go with baseball. Because only one girl chose that one. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to answer the favorite sports for question 6. All right? So figure out which ones for question 6. What do you think? Who had the least favorite? Who had the most favorite? And so according to that, come up with some reasons. Which sports should be included? Which sports should not be included? Answer these questions for number 7 and 8.